Hey, I'm Laura and welcome to my YouTube channel. I want to use this channel to talk about tech, career, lifestyle, and anything else that actually intersects with those three. I thought one of the best ways to get started today was talking about something near and dear to many computer science students: internships. I'll be talking about my experience in 3 different companies, how I applied, the timeline for my application, the internship itself, and then reflecting on some of the pros and cons that I experienced at each company. If you're interested, let's go ahead and get started. Company 1, my medium-sized company. So this is where it all started. My stress, anxieties about internships, my ability to leak code, and major imposter syndrome. Applying for my first internship. Fast forward to the spring of my freshman year. I had done a lot of extensive research on internships, when to apply, how to get them, and all of my timing was wrong. I ended up accepting another job as a tech camp instructor in the meantime, not feeling too crushed. 2 weeks later, I actually interviewed and received an offer from that initial company because they had a new spot open up. I was really afraid to actually renege, I don't know. On my initial offer, it actually turned out to be one of the best decisions that I've ever made because I knew that a proper internship was a lot more valuable. Now let's talk about the internship itself. Since this was my first internship, I really had no idea what to expect. I didn't know what team I was going to be on. I had practically 0 transferable skills from my classes, and everyone else was also much older than me. Once I arrived, I was placed onto a small front-end based software engineering team. The great thing was that I sat near the other interns, so I constantly asked them questions, how to set up my environment, how to learn JavaScript, how to program, basically. The full-time employees that I worked with are also super friendly, and they always dedicated a huge chunk of their time to helping us interns learn. I was also able to move projects fairly easily because there weren't as many interns, and with the mid-sized company, there was a decent amount of support for people to explore their options and what projects they wanted to actually complete. So at this internship, I was also assigned a mentor and a manager. So my manager was pretty hands-off, and he was mostly in charge of the manial stuff. Keeping track of my timesheets, making sure I was getting paid, and making sure I was enjoying my experience. My mentor, on the other hand, was the one getting bogged down by all the questions, spending time helping me debug. So the cons. I really didn't feel like I could network as much with people. I was really worried about standing out and asking the wrong questions, but I really think that was mostly due to it being my first internship. Secondly, I don't really think I made lasting connections with the people that I worked with. Sure, I'm in touch with them on LinkedIn from time to time when we check in, but it's not like I really established a true connection or deep mentorship with anyone. So, moving on to company 2, the largest company that I've ever worked at. This year I made sure to apply early and apply often. I learned that the typical round for intern applications opens up late summer and early fall. So with this company, I actually had 2 rounds of interviews. The first round was just a simple phone call which covered behavioral questions such as why this company, and also explaining technical terms or concepts to someone who may be unfamiliar with them. I actually received an email 2 hours later saying that I had been accepted to move on to the next round and that I was going to get flown out to the company. So during my final round interview, I actually had 2 interviewers. They were separate, each 30 to 45 minutes, and we covered different topics. One was more technical focused and skills. One was more technical and skills focused, whereas the other was more behavioral and product/creative thinking focused. I had a really good time at this internship, even though it was remote due to COVID this previous summer. I was placed in a team of 2 other interns, and it was really helpful to have them to bounce ideas off of, especially in a remote environment. I also want to note that this internship was designed for first and second year students, so if you are on the younger side, definitely look into applying to these programs too. My project itself was a little bit under scoped for us, so I had a lot of free time to work towards my goals that I had set with my mentor and my manager during this internship. Particularly, it helped me figure out what I wanted to do career-wise, and I got the chance to talk to plenty of people across the company. Let's move on to the pros. So here at this larger tech company, I definitely noticed that the team was all super talented. So this summer, I felt like I could definitely sense that my team was super talented, driven, and bright. There was definitely a strong work culture going on here, and I really enjoyed it. Everyone was really open to helping interns and giving us the guidance and support that we needed. Another really important pro of working in a larger company is network, network, network. You have tons of people that you can reach out to and network with and literally ask any question that you want. I can guarantee you that at such a large company, you will have people from every single background that you're interested in, and easily just reach out and ask for people to refer you to anyone that you might be interested in talking to. So at this company, I was able to keep in touch with tons of the people that I met or worked with simply because I felt more comfortable to network with and host one-on-ones with people. Here come the cons. It can be difficult to connect with people on adjacent teams or teams that you kind of share work with but don't actually work with because there are just tons and tons of teams adjacent to yours. So another definite con with a large company is that there is not as much flexibility with the work that you're doing, especially as an intern. You're basically going to be assigned a project or given a few choices that you can select between, but in order to actually make huge changes across the project, you're going to need to go through a lot of process flows, manager approval, team approvals, etc. So summing up this experience, it was really informative, I learned a lot, and I got to network with tons of people. Company 3, a startup. Now this leads me to the present. This is where I'm currently interning at, which is a startup. I definitely wanted to try my hand working at a startup since I've already experienced both the mid-size and the large companies. Another important criteria for me was looking for part-time internships so that I could work while doing school at the same time. Honestly, I found the company that I currently work for by chance. I was browsing startups on a site called AngelList. So the mission behind the startup that I ended up working with is actually one that I had been interested in since high school. So if you're working for a startup or looking at a startup to work at, one of the really important criteria for me was finding a mission or cause that I was passionate about. As far as the timeline, so there was no actual long bureaucratic process I had to wait for. I applied online, they received my resume, and I got an invitation to interview maybe just a few days later. The entire process took no longer than a week or 2 weeks. So you'll be working on a lot of different small, short projects that pop up, and you kind of just float between them as need be. So at a startup, I've been able to gain a lot of skills that I wouldn't have otherwise if I was working in a larger company, simply because these kinds of projects would never have been delegated to me. It's really not an exaggeration that you have to be a jack of all trades working at a startup. So far, I've really enjoyed my experience, and it's also been a super manageable time alongside my school and other work commitments. Let's talk about pros. Like I mentioned, there's tons of projects that are always popping up, so you never get bored. Another great thing is you can actually pitch your own ideas and then get signed off on those ideas and turn them into projects by the founders that you're working with. And who knows, maybe your idea might end up changing and revolutionizing the entire startup. I haven't done that though. Lastly, I think it's really important to say that you get to work super closely with people who are trying to make a huge change in society with their startup. You get to do groundbreaking work that is important and meaningful to actually shaping and building out the company. So I don't have a huge list of cons here, but I think one thing that I've noticed for sure is that there's really no network that you can network with. It's just the founders, you, and maybe a team of 2 or 3 other engineers or interns. Of course, that's not to stop you from networking. You can leverage your opportunities here at this internship as a launching off point. Maybe you can meet other startup founders. At a startup, there's always a lot going on, so try to sneak into other opportunities. You can help raise funds for the company with the founders, you can jump into user design and research, whatever your heart desires, really just ask for it and it can be yours. So those are all of my internship experiences and the pros and cons. If you have the opportunity to, I would highly recommend interning at different size companies to see what you like and also test the waters at different companies with different missions. Each company will teach you unique skills, and you can also gain valuable, varied networks. So whether you're ending your first internship or bookending your very last internship, definitely take a look and reflect on the work that you've done, the people you worked with, and how much you truly enjoyed the internship. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!